Thank you for being here. You are family, colleagues, high school friends, college friends, friends of the family. Your presence means a lot as we remember and affirm what a wonderful gift God gave us in Benjamin Meyer. God's love and power extends over all creation. Every life, including our own, is precious to God. Christians have always believed that there is hope in death as in life, and there is a new life in Christ over death. A few scriptures. Since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even though through Jesus God will bring us with him through those who have died, so we will be with God forever. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. Out of Matthew, blessed are those for those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Friends, we are gathered here to praise God, to hang on to one another, to support the family, and to remember a wonderful gift in the life. We're going to do that today through sharing of his story. We're going to do that through music. We're going to do that through wonderful pictures. And in some way, you're going to do that by sharing with one another. And so on this day, let us join together in a moment of prayer as we begin this. Oh God, we are aware of your presence. We are in need of your help on this day. Fill us with the love that is in this room. Open our minds to hear something new, and may your guiding spirit heal our sorrow and multiply the joy that has come through knowing through the life of Ben. In choosing scriptures and working with the family, they wanted something uplifting. So I'm going to Romans, a passage out of Romans, the 8th chapter, the 37th verse. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am sure that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Jesus Christ our Lord. Who knew we would be here today? We are connected by our relationships with one another. And our connections keep us going. Connections are important today. As we talk about Ben and the life that he gives, I begin by saying this as a pastor. We know Ben is in heaven with God. And God's arms are wrapped around him. And today, we are trying to figure it all out for all of you that love him. So as the family shared the wonderful things about Ben, what they talked about is that Ben could relate to other people. He had this wonderful gift of relating to other people. And the way that he did that is that in some way, he was able to look at the big picture. He could agree or disagree, and it didn't matter when you were with Ben. He was trying to figure out what he could learn from you. They talked about Ben in some way when he started his own business. He was always on to the new things. He had challenges in his life, successes and failures. And when the failures came, didn't see them as regrets. It was a part of a foundation of what he could learn to do the next step. Family talked about, and you knew him, the smile. They talked about when he started something, he was always going to finish it. They talked about how important his friends were and how dedicated he was to his friends. And they talked about, in some ways, I read through, the first thing I said to Tim was, oh my gosh, he was brilliant. And it was putting together the personality and the complexities and the math and all that into one human being. And the beautiful brochure that they had telling of his story at the age of 31. I remember at the age of 31, I probably joined a service club, and that was it. what Ben was able to do, and the relationships you have with him. It is a recognition today of grieving, an awareness of grieving. When we lose someone that we love, it's an awareness of what's going on inside. And a natural part of that is one is to deny it, that, by gosh, we don't want something like this to happen. Denying is healthy for a little while. And then there's anger that happens. A wonderful example, if you're driving down the road and all you're doing is screaming at the people that are going by, you're just living off an emotion. And when we're grieving, there are times when we're just going to live off of emotion. But in the long run, you name it. You realize that you're angry. You try to learn from it. And like Ben, my gosh, I'm angry, and now I'm going to learn, and I'm going to grow from that. It's part of the healing process. When we love someone, we have options. The options are, we can choose not to love. We can choose not to be vulnerable to other people. You can choose to be connected to someone like this and allow yourself to love. With that comes pain and loss. Also with that comes a connection that you'll never, ever have to give. We were talking with the family earlier. We're going to be talking to Ben for the next 30 to 40 years and beyond. The stories that you're going to share. On the way home, after I met here yesterday with the family, I called my mom. My mom's 86. My mom lost a sister when she was this age. And so Mom was sharing, and that was 50, 60 years ago. And she remembers back then they had a small graveside. And I said, "Do you remember anything from that service?" And she said, "Yeah, the preacher wasn't any good." 60 years later. What's different today? We celebrate this life. When I'm talking about the healing process, you are to get to the point where you are going to smile when you think about it. That connection that you had, the smile that he had, the drive that he had, the creativity that he had, you're going to build on from the relationship that you have. Part of that healing process is the things you need to do for the loss of someone that you love. We were talking yesterday about sometimes you just write a letter to Ben. Just get it down on paper. And then you'll speak with him. That's what we do with God. As an old guy, I'm a runner. I'm that old guy on the path that people run by and give me a thumbs up because I'm an old guy. Going. I run to connect myself to God. Find places where those conversations can happen. These are times we're vulnerable. I know some people here. I used to be pastor here. We were trying to figure out 20 years ago I was here. And we used to have Bible studies in a Sunday school class back there. Great afternoon Bible studies. And when we get together, it wasn't like we were figuring it out. As we were coming together and trying to figure out what we needed to learn and the questions that we had. That's what faith can give us. We can open ourselves up to be led. And today we open ourselves up to God. Because we need it. Different from 60 years ago, the service today, the main part, not the preacher. The main part is going to be the telling of the story of the family and the friends and the pictures and the fellowship that we have. And so to begin that process, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to listen to a beautiful piece of music. Jake wanted this and knew that his brother would want this. So it's a time of reflection for you to soak this in. It's a part of that healing process of remembering Ben and the love that you have experienced. Let's have a moment. And now may all God's children say, Amen. The music, the piece is in your bulletin if you would like to hear that. The families asked a few family friends and family to come forward and to say some things. So at this time, I have those that are going to speak to come forward at this time.
I wrote this one all out. Usually when I'm giving a speech, it's at a wedding, so I kind of freelance. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Meyer. I'm one of Ben's cousins, and as I like to think, the favorite cousin. But I know some of you out there would argue. First off, I want to thank all of you for coming out today to help support our family, but also celebrate Ben's life. I'm sure he's sitting next to the big guy upstairs with a big smile on his face. When asked if I would be able to speak, I was unsure if I could do it. But then I thought how much it would mean to Ben, but also knew he would tell me I was a chicken if I did get up. As I started thinking about what I wanted to say, I thought about all the other great cousins we have in our family, and didn't want to just tell stories about Ben and I, because there'd be way too many. Some good, some bad, like I told you earlier. So I asked each of us cousins to describe some of their favorite memories of Ben to share with all of you. I think it's a great tribute to the person Ben was, and I would guess that most of these responses will have everyone in the congregation thinking, oh yes, that's our Ben. So I'll start with the Edwards sisters. Alex, I remember Ben always having a big smile on his face. He was constantly cracking jokes and trying to brighten others' days. Being the youngest cousin, I specifically remember Ben making sure to include me when the big kids were off playing games. He never left me out, and because of that, I was always so excited when he was at family gatherings. Kate, Ben, and Jake were the cool kids from Omaha. I think we can all say we get most excited when they were going to be at the family events because we didn't see them as often since they lived further away. Ben liked sports, another reason I thought he was so cool. It may sound cliche, but he was always nice to me and everyone around. Stacy, some of my fondest memories of Ben include spending time during the summer at Beaver Lake attempting to learn how to speak. There were also some competitive games of spoons and crazy eggs in Grandma Meyer's garage at Christmas. He always had such a big smile on his face, never left without a big hug, was kind to everyone, and we always knew it would be fun if he was around. On to the Paul sisters. Shelby, I would say he always had a big smile that would brighten up a room. He was definitely always so competitive, whether it be a game of spoons, a game of poker, or a pickup basketball game in Randy's shop. No matter what, he was happy. Megan, I remember that even though the ping pong games in Grandma and Grandpa's basement got competitive, Ben was always smiling and laughing, no matter the outcome of the game. And Megan, most of the time. I remember there were a few times. Courtney, I think the most memorable time was at Christmas time. The fun boxes we got from Grandma and Grandpa, and playing spoons. Spoons must have been in her dining room. Ben would always make both of these exciting. On to the lunchers. Brett, when I was thinking about Ben, I was remembering his competitive spirit when we were growing up. Whether we were hooping, playing a million different games out of Grandma's, or a few video games, he definitely had the Meyer fire and shared that similar level of sports. We definitely had a lot of good times. Travis, I remember watching him play football for Westside, thinking what a great athlete. Then talking to him at my wedding, telling him I can't wait to come to your wedding because he had brought a beautiful girl to mine. Today, as I think in admiration, I've always been told embrace the past, enjoy the future, and somebody else has always said it best. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Abraham Lincoln. This is my picture of Ben as he smiles down upon us. Tanya, Ben was such a warm, kind, funny kid. I'm quite a bit older, so I got the pleasure of babysitting him and Jake when we all lived in Omaha. And both he and Jake were well-mannered and great kids. One funny story that I've always told about the both of them is the time Jim and I took them to the zoo. We thought they'd be really pumped to see zebras, giraffes, elephants, things we don't get to see in Nebraska. Well, I'm pretty sure we spent most of the time in the rainforest building, not looking at the monkeys or rare birds. We spent most of the day looking at the tree frogs. It was both cute and hilarious. We will miss him. He was a guy that even if you hadn't seen him in years, the minute you hugged him, it felt like it had all been yesterday. On to me and my brothers. Kale, I've always enjoyed when Ben would be back and I'd get to see him. One thing I loved about is he would always be so curious how life on the farm was, and so interested in how everything was going since I moved back into Grandma's house. He was a person who cared so much about others and making sure their life was awesome. Landon, I remember going to watch a football game of Ben's his senior year at Westside and thinking, my little cousin had turned into a full-grown man. He looked like a man, played great, and greeted us all, as always, with a big smile after the game. And myself, I will remember Ben as being the cool kid on the block. He always made me feel like part of his crew on my regular summer visits to Beaver Lake in Omaha. and made sure that all of his friends knew I was cool too. I'll never forget the time in 2000 when Nelly's Country Grammar CD came out. And Ben took the time to teach me all the words, so when I got back to Destler, I could be the cool kid rapping that song in my car to all my country friends. I'm also very thankful that Ben was able to see everyone and help celebrate Kelsey and I's wedding a year and a half ago in July. I'll not forget seeing him, the congregation, with a big smile on his face. Thanks to everyone for sharing those memories. And I want to wrap up with a poem that I read this week that I thought Ben would want me to read to all of you, titled I'm Free. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path God has laid you see. I took his hand when I heard it call. I turned my back and left it all. I could not stay another day, to laugh, to love, to work, to play. Tasks left undone must stay this way. I found that peace at the close of day. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy. A friendship shared, a laugh and kiss. Oh yes, these things I too will miss. Be not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. Good friends, good times, a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seem all too brief. Don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your hearts and peace to thee. God wanted me now, he set me free. Thank you. The rest of you.
Before I get started, I want to say that Michael and I are extremely honored to represent and speak on behalf of the friends over here, and all the people that love Ben. So, but my name is Nash Harlow, and without a doubt, Ben was a brother to me. I've been best friends with Ben for 13 years. He was the first person I met at SMU orientation, and from there we were pretty much inseparable. We lived together for multiple years in college, multiple years after college, and we even co-founded a company together, which we spent close to 2 years working on. I'll talk more about that. I've known Ben on an intimate level that I think few friendships ever reach, and for that I am forever grateful. My favorite thing about Ben was his confidence and fearlessness, and I think you guys are going to hear this repeatedly. For people my age, we sometimes call this swagger. I told Shauna this earlier, but if you actually look it up in the dictionary, it describes like a tinge of arrogance, which is beautiful, and I say that with complete love. It's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it. It's someone that's really so confident when they walk into a room, you can't help but gravitate towards them. And I think this is why I love hanging out with Ben and his friends as well. But for me, by standing next to him, I felt more comfortable in life. I knew if I was anxious, worried, or in trouble, I could talk with him, and if his confidence on how to handle a situation would really bring me back down. Ben shared this confidence with me during the most difficult time in my life, and I think it's the reason I am where I am today. I'll add a little bit quick story. Ben's first college girlfriend was about 5 inches taller than him. He's the only guy I know that had the confidence to pull that off. Early in this week, I couldn't help but start laughing. I was like, God, you really did have that swagger that I'm trying to teach you guys about. But one of the best examples of that confidence and that fearlessness that Ben had is when we became business partners. To keep it high level, we set out to build a software platform that we dreamed could help millions of people in need with support by pairing them with specialized case managers at a really affordable cost. Without hesitation, when we had this dream, Ben quit his job and set out to make it a reality. He didn't think twice about using his life savings to finance his vision. I never had the courage to quit my job, but he took the risk, the leap, all of this to try to make it a dream come true. He was never afraid to fail. In fact, when we finally raised capital, he never wrote himself a single paycheck. He did this because he never believed that it would work out. After we launched the product, we started running into various strategic and operational issues. Our burn rate was too high, the user engagement was a little too low, and the resources were finite. But Ben never lost faith in the vision. When we wanted to give up, and I say we as Carl was his other co-founder over there, he would always inspire us, keep going, keep going. He would reiterate on our team calls every evening that we just had to stay confident and not be afraid. At some point, myself and Carl were finally able to convince him that we needed to move on past the company. It was one of the hardest things Carl and I ever did. And it wasn't hard because we had to accept that our vision wasn't going to come true or the business was a failure. It was hard because we had to convince Ben Meyer that he had to give up. And that is not something in his dictionary. When Ben finally moved on past the company, and only because we forced him to, he never missed a beat. He was totally confident he would land the next big opportunity. In fact, one afternoon, I walked into the living room, it was probably 2 months ago, and he was explaining to my fiance Erin over there how, based on our skill set and our IQ and good looks, that him and I would most likely have a $3 to $4 million house in Mill Valley in the next few years. Again, just total confidence. Later on, I had to quietly ask him to not tell my fiance that we were going to do something. That I was going to be a high-ranking Silicon Valley exec, but he never had a job. Within a few months, Ben did land a job in Silicon Valley on the finance team, and within 3 months of being hired, he applied for a promotion to a director-level position. Again, total confidence, no fear. The last example of this confidence I saw was the last time Mike and I surfed with Ben 2 weeks ago. We paddled out at Ocean Beach against a sizable swell, and for those unfamiliar, Ocean Beach isn't really for the faint of heart. It has incredible rip currents, waves that carry the weight of a truck, and the subtle possibility of a visit from a great white. It took me 3 years of SF, San Francisco residency, and constant practice before I had the courage and skill to feel comfortable here. But not for Ben, as a newcomer to San Francisco. He wasn't ready, but he didn't hesitate. And watching him that morning is a memory that Michael and I will never forget. And I wrote some more notes last night because it just wasn't enough, but I'd like to go through his achievements in the last year of his life, which was truly incredible. During that year, he was the CFO of a company with a market cap of over $20 million. He launched proprietary software on the iOS and Android platforms. He practiced meditation atop Machu Picchu. He fed piranhas in the Amazon. He surfed in Baja, Mexico. He was interviewed by TechCrunch, the leading media outlet for the tech industry, and he found inner peace through meditation. He was fearless, and he never settled for mediocrity. And while we are all terrified of what life would be like without Ben Meyer, just remind yourself of that swagger and the confidence that he had, and remind yourself of what Ben would tell you. Do not be afraid. Thank you.
I'm going to try to channel some of that confidence right now. But my name is Michael Wells, and Ben has been like a brother to me since freshman year of college. I just feel so very fortunate to say that. He was always the most rock-solid friend, somebody you could rely on to be there for you, to cheer you up with that positive energy and big, catchy smile of his. If you do big, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But one aspect of Ben I'd like to talk about is how much of a deep thinker he was. He's incredibly smart, he's very introspective. And while he had the social skills to carry small talk with anybody in the world, behind the scenes he was always thinking bigger than that. And I always felt incredibly honored when our conversations took a turn in that direction and his bright mind opened up to me. You could go from discussing culture to music, food, business ideas, latest technologies, or even economic theories and philosophy. And I'd like to recall one of those conversations we had just a month or two ago while sitting around a campfire in Lake Tahoe, in Northern California, and we continued on the drive home the next day. The topics of that conversation included nature, evolution, and Zen Buddhism. And it could be summarized by this quote from Ben's favorite philosopher, Albert Watts. We do not come into this world, we come out of it. Like leaves come from a tree, or the waves come from the ocean, life comes from the universe. Every individual is a beautiful expression of the whole realm of nature, a unique action of the total universe. And as we were sitting under the stars that night, we were just in absolute awe of the Milky Way above us and these towering ancient pine trees surrounding us. And we were thinking about all the forces of nature that played a part in creating this beautiful world that we live in. You know, from the atoms that travel billions of light years to form the stars and the planets, to the evolution of life through millions of iterations of genetic mutations that created the natural world and humanity, as if everything was pieces of art that were billions of years in the making. And I really think this explains Ben's outlook on life when he tried to appreciate the absolute uniqueness of every individual, every culture, and especially all types of music. And this outlook in this conversation is something that my mind just keeps going back to this past week as I try to come to terms with this new reality. Because I can't help but keep thinking, how lucky am I that in a universe that's estimated to be 14 billion years old and 46 billion light years wide, I got to know Ben Meyer and consider him a dear friend. And while I feel cheated that my time with him has been cut short, I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude for Ben and the time that I got with him, and how his wisdom and his passions for the outdoors, for travel, for adventure, for music will continue to live with me forever. Thank you all. Thank you, Ben.
I'm Emily Turwell, and this is my sister Erin. We're Ben's stepsisters. Some of you know our family is quite spread out, literally as far across the country from each other as you can be. Ben was in California, Jake lived in New York, my family lives in Houston, and my sister Erin lives in the Middle East. And my dad and Shauna live in Whistler, but don't stay in one place for very long. And somewhere between Christmas mornings, and cage diving with great whites, and swimming with manta rays, and bungee jumping over Victoria Falls, and sharing our struggles and our losses, and our hopes and our dreams, we became a really close family. And in between seeing each other, we kept in touch every few days through an ongoing family text. So on any given day, we could ask for wardrobe advice, make each other jealous with our latest meal creations, make fun of ourselves, make fun of each other, and most of all, support each other. Joining our families together has been one of the greatest blessings of my life, and I feel so honored to have had the opportunity to know Ben and share many adventures with him along the way. We know that everyone who loved Ben shares in our heartache, and our family has been so touched by the overwhelming love and support that we've received since Ben's passing. And so many people have taken the opportunity to reach out and share their memories of Ben through meaningful, funny stories. And while we can't read all of them, we wanted to share some excerpts with you that have made us laugh over the last few days or touched our hearts. This one is from Jewel Despain from GoPro. She said, Ben was such an open and gregarious person that it felt like he had always been around, and nobody skipped a beat when he joined. While there are numerous memories to share, there's one that really stands out to me. I've been trying to make Detective Despain happen as a nickname for a while, and nobody was biting until Ben. He would bring up some random issue and look at me and say, "Someone should get to the bottom of this." Which set me up perfectly to say, "Detective Despain on the case." And then he took it a step further and would nod his head and say, "Detective," and passing me in the halls, which led me to start replying with Commissioner Meyer. We both got a kick out of the absurdity of trying to push our own nicknames, but seeing him and having this exchange would always brighten my day. And one example among many of his humor and thoughtfulness.
This is from Anne Riley from GoPro. Sorry, just a second. Ben was one of a kind, Ben was a one-kind person and such a powerful personality and contagious energy. He was a person that wore his heart on his sleeve, always had an opinion, a thought, a story. In our first conversation, he shared with me tips on Peru, a new meditation technique. His thoughts on his thoughts on a business leader he admired, the struggle of his prior startup, and the story about a gal he took a chance on. He was a person that seemed to embrace and thrive on people, ideas, and the world around him. This is from Kelsey Hooker, Ben's high school girlfriend. Ben was such an important part of my life. You raised such a sweet, kind, and caring man. I loved him so deeply. My name is Kelsey, and I'm an alcoholic. Ben Meyer was the first person in my life to ever make me feel okay with this. I first met Ben when I was 14 years old. He was the first boy to ever really see me, the first boy to make me feel beautiful inside and out, and my first love. Like many others, I was initially drawn to his dazzling smile. Ultimately, it was his sweet soul, generous heart, and infectious thirst for life and adventure that I fell in love with. We were so young, but we had something so real, and this morphed into a beautiful friendship that proved paramount at different times in our lives moving forward. On trips back and forth after our romantic relationship ended, we often talked about the balance of life and what the afterlife really meant. It means honoring those who came before you and supporting the ones you love in your daily actions. That a legacy can live on forever. Goodbye for now, Ben. I'll see you on the ski slopes and in the world beyond.
This is from Ryan and Megan Boyer, Ben's cousins. My first thought after hearing was that I wished I could tell him a joke and experience the joy and brightness of his laugh and smile again on the South. He was the best to me when we were growing up, and I always appreciated being wanted on his team, his group, his side. To me, he always seemed so big, and he had a way of making me feel bigger and secure around him. That's how I'll remember him, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to fly as high from a minute or two on the lake as he could. This is from Tannen Artfeld, Ben's high school friend. Ben was my first kiss in middle school. It was in Andrew Parker's basement. Not glamorous by any means, but memorable and something I will only share with Ben. He was an amazing person who loved life, his friends, and his family very much. We are trying to transition our sadness and tears to laughter and smiles by sharing stories with Ben. We will miss Ben more than words can ever express.
This is from Jason Hartman, Ben's high school friend. Ben was one of the most passionate and engaging people I've ever known, and he lived his life to the fullest and touched so many people. While we were best friends together all the time, I honestly really looked up to Ben a lot. I was small and scrawny and didn't see myself as nearly as confident as him. He was comfortable and charismatic in all situations. High school can be tough as you're figuring all of that out. Ben was such a thoughtful and introspective person, and we talked about everything. school, sports, girls, struggle, and life. I honestly think he helped me grow to a more confident and comfortable person, more than I ever realized, and probably more than I ever let him know. He really had a way of pushing people around him to get the most out of themselves, and I really think he did that with me. On a related note, he was also incredibly loyal, and he always had my back. I remember a story from baseball our sophomore year. One of the silly traditions in baseball was something called squabbling. It was wrestling just for fun, or sometimes to settle an argument. In one of these team arguments, one of the biggest guys in the team singled me out and challenged me to a squabble. You may remember I was probably the smallest guy on the team at that time. We did wrestle, and I predictably got roughed up pretty good. After it was over, Ben challenged this bigger guy, and Ben, of course, whooped him. In hindsight, it sounds juvenile, but in my mind, it's just one of the many representations of how fiercely loyal Ben was to his friends.
This is from Grace Wallerstedt, Ben's friend from San Francisco. My boyfriend Scott and I were so excited to have Ben in San Francisco and introduce him to our network of friends here. He's been so open with sharing into his soul his meditation practice, his love life, his past struggles, his recent travels with your family, his outlook on GoPro, and how great his family relationships are. Not only did Ben make it through this dark place, but he was strong and selfless enough to become a light for others. All of his friends over the past few years have gotten to see him in this form as his best self, and we know his truth. When I think of Ben in my mind,
He is walking through our door for dinner with the warmest smile under that mop of hair. His arms stretched out for a big bear hug. And this is from Darren and Libby Buff, Ben's high school friends. We have so many incredible memories of Ben, and we will forever cherish them. We always joked in high school that I was dating both Darren and Ben, because the three of us went everywhere together. We will miss him so much, but rest assured his memory will live on through all of his West Side friends. Ben always had a smile on his face, and we will always remember him that way. This is from Brett Harwood, Ben's high school friend. Years have flown by, but it really does feel like yesterday that Ben, myself, and any number of the other guys from our friend group were playing Monopoly in his basement or wiffle ball in his yard. Ben was the de facto ringleader of the Monopoly group. We were all competitive, sometimes too competitive, and we also enjoyed each other's company. We all poured way much into those games, but they brought us together. When we started to drive, we reached for those board games a little less frequently, but I bet I'm not the only one who remembers 8th and 9th grade as the Monopoly years. I'll always remember Ben for his big laugh and big heart. Ben will be deeply missed, but remembered fondly by many. This is from Doug Stupa, Ben's high school friend. Ben's confidence was inspiring, and he had an uncanny ability to make the people around him feel good about themselves. I loved him because he could always make me laugh, and for what he taught me about myself. He made me a better student, a better athlete, and a better friend. He was one of my first good friends. We also butted heads quite a bit, literally. Like when he was playing for the Icebreakers and drew an offensive charging call against me. I have no idea what that is, but and I broke his nose with the crown of my head. He had to miss the 8th grade championship game against Kywit, and I don't think Coach Glanzer, ever forgave me. I'll be thinking of Ben for a long time to come. This is from Bess Warming, Ben's high school friend. I loved Ben so much. He was such a kind and sweet soul whose smile is seared into my mind. I have so many wonderful memories of Ben, the way he cared for his friends, the way he loved you so fiercely, and again, that smile. My husband, daughter, and I just moved into our home on the corner of 91st Street in Shirley. I've thought of Ben every day since we moved in, and will continue to do so. I hope you all are flooded with reminders of just how loved he was.
This is from Jordan Light, a friend in LA. Ben kept you on your toes. Well versed in almost everything, saying something stupid was an easy invitation. He carried himself with an assurance and said what he meant, but there was also such an ease about being around him. Underneath the keen wit and strong personality, there was an abounding kindness and thoughtfulness. And I'll always remember that look with that wry smile when he had something good. He was easy to know and easy to talk to and even easier to love. This is from Patrick Haas from the Colores team. Ben Meyer was one of the kindest, smartest guys I've ever met. He was both a caring friend and the bane of my life in fantasy football. I was privileged to help build a company with Ben, and though we may have not have achieved all that we dreamed, it was a beautiful thing to see him in his element like that. Fearless in business and in life, Ben was one of the few brave friends to join me bungee jumping for my 30th birthday. And he was the first person in our group to actually make the jump. In all things, Ben was never afraid to take a leap, and I aspire to be the same way. He was my brother, my friend, and my role model.
This is from Mark Chado, Ben's high school friend. I had the good fortune of being able to call Ben one of my closest friends for the past 15 years. Senior year, it seemed Ben and I, along with Matt McFarland, were inseparable. Our time was spent filled with laughs, anecdotes, sports, chasing girls, and getting into trouble. I most vividly remember spending all of our free time in either the basement of his father Tim's Tim's home in Oakdale, avoiding the living responsibilities of the night's homework, or cruising the streets of District 66. That sounds dangerous. and Ben's Chevy Blazer, listening to rap music entirely too loud. Looking back at that time, I will cherish these memories forever. The years went by, and even though we lived in separate time zones, Ben and I continued to make efforts to keep in touch. Whether it be extended phone conversations, to catch up, or funny one-liners via text, Ben and I continued the same open dialogue we had when we were immature 17-year-olds. Ben came to visit me in May of this year. We talked about solving all of the world's problems, his exotic travels, and the start of his new career in San Francisco, and me becoming a father in what would just be 3 weeks later. I'm incredibly grateful to have been able to spend this time with him. Ben's optimistic outlook on life and what tomorrow would bring was infectious. His love for his family and friends was unparalleled. True friendship is so hard to come by, and I'm proud and honored to have been able to call you my friend and compadre.
This is from Matt Thompson, Ben's high school friend. This extraordinarily heartbreaking event has prompted a lot of self-reflection. It has brought me closer to my friends and family. It has shaken me to my core. I'm in shock that he is not with us anymore. I don't imagine that will go away. Words cannot describe the level of gratitude that I have for him. He is, was, and will be a brother to me. I miss him dearly. I am so deeply saddened that I will not get to see him again in this lifetime, but I do know that his spirit lives on. I can feel it. But it's too strong-willed and stubborn to fade away. I love you, buddy. I am so thankful for the influence that you have had on me, and I am lucky to have made so many memories with you. This is from Tyler Turwell, Ben's brother-in-law. I also battle addiction. I truly admire how hard Ben fought against our common disease. He was rewarded with so many peaceful and happy days, close relationships with friends and family, and a true meaning, a true understanding of self. I am so grateful for the time we spent together, for the things that I learned from Ben, and for how I have incorporated them into my life. We both found strength through weakness. I love you, brother, and I will always miss you. And I want you to go.
A while back in 2012, Ben and I were both struggling with what I like to call life lessons. And we started writing each other handwritten letters to offer each other encouragement. My sister recently found a letter that I wrote him, and it seems as though he's kept it all this time in a box of his special personal belongings. I was surprised when I pulled it out to see my own handwriting. It meant a lot to me that he kept it. And here's an excerpt from that letter I wrote 6 years ago that I'd like to share. Dear Ben, thank you so much for your heartfelt letter. I read it the first night you gave it to me and wanted to take a few days to soak in your words. Your letter was courageous and reflective, and so much of what you wrote resonated with me. After 10 years of photographing war, I too have learned a few things about myself. I've learned how to feel angry and how to bear sadness. I've learned that at times my demons lay dormant as if asleep, but when aroused, I wrestle to rein them in if control them at all. The struggle that life has given me, while incredibly difficult, has also taught me a few things that you and I are both learning on this journey. For you and I have been blessed with an outlook that most people will never get the chance to have. We both have swam deep in pools of darkness, and we have, with a wellspring of strength in our hearts, time and time again, crawled out of our holes and back into the light. You know what it is to fight and to fight hard for a life that is rich with value and meaning. Your experiences have broadened your moral compass, enabling you to truly empathize with others, and this, my friend, is a gift. You will always be more grateful for every day than you were the day before, and because of your courage, your heart will unfold and expand. Never give up, because I can't help but think that all of this may be life's way of shifting our perspectives, guiding us toward light. You have come so incredibly far. You are living more life than most people will ever experience or imagine. You never have to feel ashamed about your past. You are free. And the only moment that matters is the present. I can't wait to see all of the incredible things you do and to continue to walk with you on this journey called life. I love you always.
I chose blue because Leonardo was best for There are no guides for writing a eulogy for your 31-year-old brother. When I sat down to write, I considered whether I should write something very personal or something that might apply to everyone here. I opted for the personal. Ben was always interested in and engaged with other people individually. I wanted to share what that was like for me. I'll start with a few small stories that I find to be quintessentially Ben: ambitious, precocious, idealistic, and, yes, a bit mischievous. There was a time at the age of 6 that he tied a rope around his waist and jumped off our second floor deck, expecting, I don't think he ever got past that process. There was a time in Disney World when he insisted on ordering a large spaghetti plate despite the protests of my mom and dad saying it was too big for him. He sorely regretted that choice after they made him sit in his seat and finish the entire plate, and then throwing it up after a guy was done. Ben had a habit of biting off more than he could chew, literally and metaphorically. There was a time that I thought I was going to win, but then he came back from behind with about 15 points in a row and kicked my butt at racquetball at Christmas. He was always the better sportsman. And there was a time that he befriended a French girl, Emma, while we were hiking in Bora Bora, and then invited her to have lunch with us. And then a couple of weeks later, went to Peru to meet her, because Despite his sometimes macho exterior, he was a total romantic at heart, and also because he had completely charmed her. And while I don't have a specific story, I couldn't talk about Ben without talking about poker and how scared you should be if you caught a card on the river. I also do selfishly want to use this opportunity to clear something up. Ben posted a picture on Instagram, it's out there as well, of his sunburned back with the caption, "When your bro offers to get your back, but he has nefarious intentions." Ben, always playing to the audience and protective of our mom, totally threw me under the bus. Ben always called me by nicknames: Jake the Snake, Jake Meyer the Science Guy, Jacob le Meyer l'Entrepreneur. He always wanted to share new music and favorite songs with me, and he was convinced that we would make a great team starting a business. One of my most recent and fondest memories of him is when he and his girlfriend Kate came to my apartment in Brooklyn while they were in town for a wedding, and I made brunch, and we had a wonderful meal and conversation. I was planning a trip to Palm Springs at the time with friends, and he insisted that I had to go to this thing called the Integratron, which is this structure that's in Palm Springs that was built in the 60s by a UFOologist who claimed that he got the plans from aliens, and now you go inside and lie down and you get a sound bath while people play sounds on porcelains inside. And I was actually into it, but it was booked up. That day felt like the beginning of our adult sibling relationship. And like most sibling relationships, Ben's and mine had a lot of turbulent times. In some ways, it's because we are too similar. We're stubborn, passionate, and opinionated. And we fought, and we said things we didn't mean, and we hurt each other really deeply. Sometimes the fiery passion that he possessed came out of him in ways that he didn't intend. And I put distance between us to protect my sensitive and fragile heart. We also both struggled with anxiety and medication, both doctor-prescribed and self-prescribed, over the past couple of years that consumed a lot of our attention, time, and emotional capacity. Nevertheless, he always let me know that he loved me, and I hope he knows how deeply I love him. I'm so proud of him for overcoming his opiate addiction and then tirelessly working to pay forward the support that he had received through Transcendent Divorce. I'm so happy to know that he had become so excited about his life, his work, and his personal growth. I'm so thankful that he has the incredibly supportive friends and family, and specifically parents, who love him and care for him so much, infinitely, who are so proud of him and have done everything they could to help him become the wonderful person that he became and is. And yet, despite all these wonderful feelings and our intention for this to be a celebration of his life, and it is and it will be, it would also be a lie for me to stand here and not say that I am confused and furious and devastated by the thought that I was supposed to get another 50 years of being his brother and growing together. You may have noticed that I've been mixing the past and present tense. This is intentional. I know that Ben's body has stopped working, but he is still so present in the world, in the way his friends and family have come together in love and celebration of his wonderful and courageous spirit, in the outpouring of support and sharing of the immense positive impact he had on so many. If I can ask one thing of those of us gathered here today, it is to keep Ben alive in our words and actions. Help people you feel like you can help. Seek out truth within yourself and the world around you. And when you love someone, shout it from the rooftops. I recently went on a road trip, and as I was driving across Washington and Montana and North Dakota, I reflected a lot on our childhood, our family, who we are, and where we came from. One thought I continually had was how strangely similar Ben's and my paths were, despite how different we could be. The last time I saw Ben, we had one of the best conversations we've ever had. We talked about the nature of existence, the interconnectedness of all things, and he shared with me his belief in the inherent benevolence of the universe. He and I both found a lot of wisdom and solace in meditation and aspects of Eastern thought. I think Ben's and my relationship is best described by the ancient Chinese concept of yin and yang, two seemingly opposite forces whose separateness is an illusion. They're actually interdependent, complementary, and inextricably linked. Ben is my cosmic other half. On that trip, I stopped along the road to write down a few words about how I was feeling. And reflecting on Ben and reflecting on the words now, I feel like he might have written the same thing. And I'd like to share it with you and dedicate it to Ben. Let my mind shine like a pond, glimmering, skipping ripples, disguising liquid depths of life-giving nectar, hidden treasures. Let my heart flow like the fields of wheat, parting for the harsh wind as the locks of the beloved's hair part at the caress of a lover. Let my soul stand like the oak trees, rooted deep and reaching high, needing only sunlight, water, and minerals of the earth, giving shade to weary travelers, exhaling pure oxygen as my nature. And when winter comes, let me shed what has sustained me thus far without clinging, that I may be ready to welcome the new budding life of spring. Let my being contain the world like this vast expanse, completely full and wholly empty, steady and constantly moving, a fertile plain of abundance that yet can welcome what new structures, creatures, mountains and valleys and water and wind may arise. May I be a place of possibility. May it calmly contain passing storms of terrible devastation and remain to cradle everything vibrant and sparklingly alive as the sun returns to illuminate the impossibly blue sky. Ben's spirit was so vast. He packed more into his short time here than many people do who live much longer. Short of having him walk through these doors, arms outstretched, lopsided grin, ready to suck the marrow out of life, my next wish would be that we could stay here forever, basking in our warm memories of his lively and generous spirit. But as we now know in such an excruciatingly real way, all good things must come to an end. Ben, I will hold you forever in my heart and always cherish the too short time we were lucky enough to spend together. Until next time, my beautiful brother.
Ben was loved. And we're going to carry forward from this point forward your continued love for him and your support for one another. We're going to go forth now. Everyone is invited in the fellowship hall to continue to tell the stories. There is going to be a burial. The burial will be on Monday. It will be a private family burial that will happen at that time. We go forth with our connection, recognizing the Spirit of God that is with us, that carries us from this point forward. May God be with us. And let us thank God for the life of man. Amen.